When Windows handhelds first started coming out, they were inevitably compared to the Nintendo Switch, but none of them ever fully adopted the Switch form factor with candy bar style body and removable controllers until now. Let me introduce you to the One X Player 2. Hey everyone, it's ProjectSBC and I'm back today to review One Netbook's latest product, the One X Player 2. Let me preface this with this is a prototype provided to me for review. All thoughts and opinions are my own. I'm not getting paid for this review. The features and appearance on this device may not reflect the final product, such as the silkscreen printing and controller firmware. Now that is out of the way, let's dive in. This generation brings the AMD Ryzen 7 6800U to the One X Player 8.4-inch series. There will be both 16 and 32 GB versions of the device, with storage ranging from 512 GB up to 2 TB. This has Wi-Fi 6 and Bluetooth 5.0. The battery is 65.5 watt-hours, which puts it just behind the GPD WinMax 2's 67 watt-hour for largest battery size. I've tested 60 watt PD all the way up to 100 watt, and I've had no problems with any in between. The device also has a built-in gyroscope, so software such as Handheld Companion will work with this device. Let's take a closer look at the device, starting with the screen. We have an 8.4-inch 1600p touchscreen display with support for 4096 styluses. This is a portrait display, so expect the nuances that go along with it. On the top we have a power button, turbo button, and volume up and down button. The turbo button lets us go from 20 watts up to 32 watts at the push of a button. Over here we have a headphone jack, USB 4 Type-C port, USB 3.2 Type-A port, and a microSD card slot. I've tested an eGPU and it's recognized, but there are some USB 4 driver issues. Downgrading to Windows 10 fixes that, which I'll cover in a later video. The microSD card slot does support USB 3.0 speeds. For those that remember the original One X Player, it was 2.0, but I can confirm with my cheap microSD card we're reaching about 100 megabytes a second, which is well past 2.0 speeds. On the bottom we have a full-featured USB-C 3.2 port, which means data, power, and video. It's got down-firing speakers and a pogo connector for the keyboard accessory. On the back we have the adjustable kickstand, which is very sturdy. An intake for the fan here, and I think this grill over here is just kind of for some heat dissipation. And of course we have the buttons for disconnecting the controller. Let's talk about the controllers. The One X Player 2 is quite a bit larger than the Mini, but I think it is more comfortable. Let me explain. Both devices have identical button-to-joystick layouts, as you can see here, but it is the rounded edges that give the One X Player 2 an advantage. When talking about how comfortable a controller is, your first impression picking it up may have the biggest impact. I can pick up both devices and find a pretty comfortable initial holding position. How the controller is used also plays a part. Let me start by holding the One X Player Mini, which many of you may have. When I switch my thumbs from joystick to buttons or D-pad, I find that I need to adjust my wrist position or it is uncomfortable to hold. Watch the same thing on the One X Player 2. You'll notice that I either don't need to adjust my wrist or adjust it very little to make the switch. I was so used to playing with the Mini, moving my hands, or dealing with uncomfortableness that I didn't notice a difference. It took several long Call of Duty sessions to realize something was different, but in a good way. You can see the size compared to the Mini, Switch, and the GPD WinMax 2, and the One X Player 2 is probably the largest one here. That's not going to be everyone's preference, and that's okay. As far as weight goes, it comes in at 870 grams, tablet is 720, and each controller is 75 grams. That stacks against the Mini's 600 grams, Nintendo Switch's 400 grams, and is still lighter than the WinMax 2 at just over a kilogram. Let's talk about detachable controllers. These controllers use a pogo pin interface to connect to the main device. It's essentially like using a hardwired controller every time you dock them. This is good as it eliminates input latency that Bluetooth and other wireless technologies have. The bad news is you can't use these independently like Joy-Cons. There is no battery or wireless communication chip in them. And honestly, that's okay in my opinion. These controllers have ergonomic contours that would not be comfortable to hold landscape. Adding batteries and wireless chips to them would also increase the overall weight, complexity, and price of this device. There's a reason that they are detachable though. One of the accessories you can get is a holder kind of like the one they include with the Nintendo Switch. You can dock both controllers into it, However, this has a battery and a USB dongle to turn it into a functional wireless controller. It would behave something like this. An accessory, dock the controllers, and there's a little USB dongle that would come out of this and plug into your device to work as a wireless controller. Let's talk about the gamepad itself. These do use Hall sticks, and as you can see, it does take very minute input, and we are seeing that on the screen. Testing circularity, we are getting less than 5%, which is great. The D-pad on this is identical to the Mini Pro, so if you enjoyed that D-pad, you're going to have a very similar experience on this. This device does have analog triggers, which are great for racing games, and you can see there's actually quite a bit of travel here. There's actually also a larger radius of turn on this, which gives it a better feel than we see on the Mini Pro. On the right-hand side, we have an on-screen keyboard button, and if I long press this, it goes into mouse mode. This disables the controller and turns it into a mouse to make it easier to navigate on Windows. Below that is a toggle for the accent lights. Over here, we have a button that goes to desktop, and if I long press it, it's going to act as an Xbox guide button press. Taking a look at the sturdiness of the controllers, just going to wiggle this around a little bit so you can see how sturdy it is. Back and forth, less than a half a millimeter of movement. And in this direction we do see a little bit of movement, but I am told that they are going to improve the tolerances on the production unit so that there will be even less wiggling here. The One X Player 2 claims to have Harman-tuned speakers, so I wanted to do a comparison between the One X Player 2, the Mini Pro, and the GPD WinMax 2. Let's see which one sounds best. Doing a quick screen quality comparison and brightness comparison between the Mini Pro and One X Player 2. Both screens look amazing. This video doesn't do it justice, it's only 1080p. You really have to see these screens in person to really appreciate them. You'll also notice the One X Player 2 is a little bit brighter than the Mini Pro, which is always welcome. Here's a quick gameplay video of a game called Super Hot. It's running at 1600p. It has no problem playing this. I'm not going to go too far into game performance in this video. You can see my other video with Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2. I'm also going to release some other videos in the future with some different games. And you can always YouTube some other videos on the 6800U or this device to get an idea where the performance lies. In summary, the 6800U is an excellent CPU. We can get good frame rates even on AAA games as long as you're willing to bring the resolution down, and this is a game changer for the handheld industry. Overall, I'm really happy with this device. It's got great battery life, nice large display. We've got the AMD 6800 unit, which gives you great driver compatibility and performance for the power that it uses. USB 4 now allows us to use eGPUs on this device. It's got excellent speakers, and of course the detachable controllers. You can turn it into a tablet or a 2-in-1 to do some other stuff when you're not gaming. Unfortunately, the device is big and it's one of the heavier handhelds out there. The ability to turn it into a tablet is nice, but don't expect this to rival a Microsoft Surface. Buy this because you want a gaming handheld that can double as a tablet and not the other way around. If you're okay with the size and primary function as gaming, this is a great device that I do recommend. If you're looking for a tablet to game on occasionally or can't stand large handhelds, this isn't for you. The device is being crowdfunded through Indiegogo. I'll leave a link in the description below. Prices start at $899 for the 16GB RAM and 512GB SSD and go up from there with larger RAM and SSD capacity. I'll leave a link to the One Netbook Discord in the description below as well. You can hop over there and ask some questions about this. I'm on there a lot and you can always ping me on there. If you enjoyed the video, please hit the like button, maybe even subscribe, and thanks for watching.